YouTube Live. Done.
Forget it.
Well, YouTube's working. Well, that's
Yeah.
fun. All right. That's working. I'm just going to post this as a technical issues, and then we will post this.
Oh gosh, it's because you have too many Jersey people on at once.
I know that's probably what it. It's probably what it is. It's probably what it is. Yeah.
It's because it's blowing up the internet.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh God. Everything is being so slow right now.
It's because Omar's not on.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
He's sabotaging it.
Everything is he says he's going to join shortly too, so I have a feeling he's just completely sabotaging it until he comes on. I think that's what he's probably trying to
Make
do.
a big entrance.
Exactly.
All right, we're born. Let's get this going.
No, I know. I'm trying. I can't even post on my it's not even loading. It's not even loading to allow me to
So we can record.
to post this. So yeah. So we can I know. The damn thing here. All right. Well, then we're just not gonna. I don't know how the hell Chava found it. I'm just gonna say.
So are you recording and you don't realize it?
No. Is this to Facebook? Please. Chava. Okay. All right. Well, we're just gonna get going. Let's just do this. Let's start recording. Here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California, having some technical issues. With me is an entire New Jersey contingent, 99 World Cup winner, Saskia Weber, and joining us, more New Jersey in the house right now. We have Tampa Bay Rowdies goalkeeper, Evan Louro. Evan, what's up, man? Thanks for dealing with all these technical issues that we're having right now.
No worries. Thank you guys for having me.
I mean, this is a little crazy, dude. I mean, it's been the last 14 minutes or whatever. And my favorite thing is Saskia goes, yeah, let's just get it going. Let's just get recording. Evan's getting bored already. He's got things to do. He's got people to see. So we're glad we're finally getting into this here. I'm honestly going to blame it again on the fires. I'm going to blame it on the fires. I'm going to blame it on 2020 in general. I think that's the issue that we're
blame it on the debate.
There we go.
Oh, you want to blame it? You want to go there?
Just blame it on the debate.
You want to go there? We can definitely go there. Speaking of non-political issues, for some people out there, Evan, who might not be familiar with you and kind of your journey, kind of before we get into today's topic, which is going to be recovery steps. Why don't you kind of just kind of tell people a little bit about your journey? Growing up in Jersey in the Red Bull system, then playing for Red Bull as a homegrown, and then heading out to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so I joined the Red Bulls. Back then it was pre-academy because academy started at 16. But I joined the pre-academy when it was an under 14 age group, but I joined when I was 12. So I went to a couple of their, I guess you can call it camps, where it's like a once a week kind of thing. And I guess one of their keeper coaches there saw me and he's like, hey, like, I know you're not old enough, but we'd like to get you in and start just having you train with, because I was training with a travel team with sporadic goalkeeping training at its best.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Once every 2 weeks, they would bring a guy in. But so I was fortunate enough to, be put in that environment when I was super young. And then luckily the keeper ahead of me went to residency. So then I kind of was just forced to start playing. So that actually worked out really well. But just being in that environment from an early age. And then when I was 15, I then got called to residency when it was my cycle and my year. So I actually lived maybe 30 minutes away than where I do now, down at IMG Academy. So I was there for 2 years and we went to World Cup qualifying. Unfortunately, didn't qualify. But then I came back, went back to Red Bulls for a season, and winning the national championship in the academy, which was a pretty cool moment. And then off to college at the University of Michigan for 2 years. And then kind of a couple months into my sophomore year, we started having the discussions between, myself and a person that was representing me that wasn't technically my agent while I was
Well done, well done, Ev. Well done.
You gotta love that right there.
Way to cover that one.
So yeah, we kind of had some dialogue back and forth with Ollie Curtis, who was the GM at Red Bull at the time, who's now the GM at Toronto. And yeah, we decided that after my junior season that, it'd be the time for me to leave school. And, I signed a homegrown deal. And, fortunately, Red Bulls, as everybody knows, is really good with their USL program, and they take it super serious. So I was kind of thrown into the fire with that too. And, a couple weeks in, I was playing, making my debut in the USL. So I think one of the things that they did really well was kind of allowing me to play games, because at the end of the day, that's the only way that you're going to learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then after last season, made the choice to come down here to Tampa Bay, and it's been a weird 8-9 months for everybody, as you could say. But yeah, I mean, I don't regret it. It's been a blast down here.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
dude,
now you play with, I think, quite possibly one of the oldest soccer teams in United States history.
wow.
Tampa Bay. The
Oh, yeah.
Rowdies?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're talking about playing against the Cosmos, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, trust me, I see all
I'm like,
on the wall, and I'm like, where is that?
where's that? Exactly. That's how old I am, everybody. Yeah, that's talk about some history right there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean that is actually one of the craziest things. I didn't even think about the fact is that the Rowdies organization has been through so many different incarnations, and to be kind of part of that lore, that history. I'm sure the funniest thing is like, oh, hold on a second, before we get into that, we have
the czars on.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, think about it. Remember those old Rowdies uniforms with the stripes on them, with the green, all the craziness. I mean, I grew up with Tampa. I grew up with the Rowdies. Forget it. Like,
yeah. Some of my
like
family.
I said, Cosmos time.
Yeah, some of my family that have no idea about soccer, they know who the Rowdies are. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they played in Giant Stadium on like turf that was laid on cement, man.
Oh yeah.
Against Pele.
Yep.
So. Think about it.
Wow, my gosh! I mean, think about that turf right there. By the way, right now we have the most plain, ordinary Omar Zini background we've ever had before. So I don't even know
that's
how we
sarcastic.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm late today. I had to do a headshot for this thing, and then my
grandpa
is the
here
person
we
at the
go.
house. So
A
my
headshot.
grandpa does not know how to use a camera, so every time it takes a picture, it's all. Honestly, it's been a rough 20 minutes. Anyways, Evan, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Where are you?
I'm in my house.
No, I can't see you.
I know. I have to turn it off. I need to eat my lunch. It's been a long day. I'm sorry.
Such a disaster.
It's just
been
like the voice from above.
Oh my God, this episode is such a disaster. This is absolutely hilarious. I feel like we're not going to edit any of this out right now. All right, well, let's just get into today's topic, guys. Today's topic is going to be the recovery step. One of the reasons kind of why I wanted to do this, Evan, is because you're really good at it. You're really good at tracking the ball, keeping your head on that ball, keeping your eyes on that ball, and then being able to make that right recovery step to cover your space afterwards. So kind of like maybe for some of the parents out there who are listening who might not be familiar with what we mean by recovery step, what is it kind of in your own words?
So to me, the way I look at a recovery step is especially as a keeper, there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things change very quickly in terms of, when there's an initial shot, getting, there's a rebound, it's out 5-10 yards outside of the goal. There's a lot of information that you need to take in. And at least for me, I like to look at myself as a percentages guy. So when I'm looking at where I want to make my recovery step, I'm looking at other things on the field. Where is my right center back? Where is the guy who's making a play on the ball? What direction are his hips pointing? Stuff like that. So I think I don't want to sit here and say that there's like a specific way to do it, but I think you need to, play the percentages. And at the end of the day, I think goalkeeping is a lot of percentages. So, taking all that information in, but just being able to kind of recover and give yourself the best chance to save the second shot as much as possible, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, it makes complete sense, and Saskia, I think, one of the things that we've always spoken about, and Omar, who's the voice from above, if you want to chime in as well too, feel free while you're eating your lunch, is that, there is no one way to do it. It's about finding what works for your body and how your shape goes, and, and what shape you ended up with in the first place, on the rebound, because that's going to kind of determine your recovery too, right?
Well, it's also incredibly situational as far as pressure on the ball goes, and everything. There's not just one way to handle it. We keep coming back to that. It's just like a constant theme here. The days of my way or the highway are over, and so especially with a recovery step, it depends on the keeper, their abilities. It depends on the pressure on the ball, where the ball is, everything. There's so many situations in it. You can't just teach it one way. No, if this happens, this is what you do. That's totally different.
Yeah, no, I think you brought up a good point in regards to the situational thing, because I think that's one of the issues I think that happens a lot of times when it comes to youth coaching is we've talked about it before on the show, Evan, is a lot of it is conceptual, and they're just putting the kids through the same scenario over and over again. And then they get in the game, and obviously yourself as a seasoned pro, you can attest for this. Each situation is completely different. So if you just train one scenario, you're going to get lost in that game.
Right. Yeah. At least for me, like, especially seeing younger keepers and with, just helping out in trainings and just watching games. Even this applies to some keepers, especially in my league. I always see that there's a tendency to teach, okay, there's one shot, you've deflected it or it's been blocked or whatever, get back in the middle, set perfectly, and, you'll be able to react. To me, I just think that's not very practical.
It's not.
Yeah. I like we all said, it's all situational. There's times where you need to be aggressive, and that's more of where that's my realm. Is I'd rather be aggressive and get beat trying to block something with my face than well,
that's that Jersey in you right there, dude.
That's right. right in the kisser.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's definitely situations where you need to be aggressive and you need to just make yourself as big as possible and play those percentages. But on the other side of the coin, there's also times where you can kind of take a second, back up, make sure your angles are good, and then especially depending on the depth of the shot and how far away they are. At least for me, if they're close enough, I'm like, all right, if it's on the ground, I'm saving with my feet. I'm not going to get down there with my hands. Because otherwise, if I'm down there with my hands, I'm not going to get anything hit high. So, especially if it's a super close shot. So
that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it's also
No, and I agree with you, because there are times that even in practice, and I'm like, that initial save's made, the rebound pops out, and that you see that instinct in the young keeper to just, okay, I'm gonna do my recovery step, I'm gonna get back, and I'm like, why didn't you just go for the ball? Yeah. Like the right thing to do, in my opinion, what I would have done in that situation is rebound, go. Instead, what you've done is you've taken that pause, you've done your recovery step. Now you've allowed the attacker to get that space on you, and now you have to make the save, as opposed to track that ball, go down for it. And so that's why I say it's situational, totally situational.
Yeah, I hear a lot of coaches say, like, if you make a save and you go too close, you're cutting down your reaction time. But to me, that's not, you're not looking to save something like reacting. You're looking to kind of make the shot go where you want it to go. So if I'm stepping out and I'm leaning this way, like, I want them to shoot this way so I can, maybe get my shoulder on or something.
You want to get hit by the ball.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, the job is to let the ball hit you.
Right, but what you just said is poignant, because at the same point, if you close that space and you force them to shoot the ball wide, in my opinion, that's a save, everybody. I tell my keepers in practice, that's a save. The pressure you just put on that ball, force that hurried up shot, that shot went wide of the goal, that's a save, in my opinion.
Yeah.
100%.
No, that's a really good point. And I want to show something right now because, you know, one of the things that we are talking about is situational. Evan, I love the fact that you brought up the feet thing. It's almost like you were thinking ahead in regards to and had a psychic connection with where I'm going right now, because I want to show this save that you made for Red Bull against St. Louis in the 61st minute. I think it was last season. I think it was on the Blackwood block. So I'm going to share the screen real quick on this guy right here. So everyone can see kind of what I'm talking about. So first off, kind of walk us through this right now. Let's just watch it first in real time, just so that everybody can kind of. Oh, I'm gonna turn off that volume right there. So here's the play, block, ball, played, shot. But see how your recoveries there, big, and then the great save right there on the feet right there. I absolutely love that. And like you were just saying about just getting some body behind that. But all happened because of the way that your shape was when you tracked it. You know, it was high enough that you stayed on your feet. You didn't like go all the way.
Yeah, but he also didn't stay. When he gets up, he gets up, he stays big and everything like that. He didn't retract. He didn't try to reposition. He's just like, I'm going to get up. I'm going to be big.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify something because this irritates me every time I see this video.
Okay.
So the initial shot, I swear I'm not this bad. The initial shot is deflected. So the initial shot is going low. So that's why I started like going low, like right there. Okay. Yeah. He hit it low and it went off my center back and went high. So I like had to kind of flap. I don't want to look like I'm flapping like that on the reg.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah, so
oh,
like,
and that was the adjustment. That's why you stuck the paw up
there. Yeah. Because otherwise I just look like I'm flailing everywhere.
No, I didn't see it that way.
So yeah, then you know, I kind of landed, one of the things I was always taught was to always be looking around and kind of know what's around me when the ball's not, I guess, a threat. So when the ball's kind of rolling, I'm diving and I see the guy out wide and I'm like, all right, I see my center back and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to go flying. So I'm letting him cut down the angle. And at that point, I'm like I said before, this is close enough where if it's low, I'm saving it with my feet. And if it's high, I'm going to save it with my hands. Because if I go too low and he rips it and the top near post, there's no way I'm going to get up fast.
By the way, I love this recovery right here too. Look at that.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. But I think that I have this conversation with my keepers at UCLA a lot and stuff. Some of them get into that bad habit. Don't even get me started. I'm like, look, I have no problem with you saving the ball with your feet. Yeah. If the situation is there for it, if they're within 10 yards, if it's a bullet, if you've gotten yourself into position, that's the quickest thing to the ball. That's fine with me. That's fine. From 15 yards out, that just means you're setting on your ass. That just means you're on your heels, you're being lazy, and now you're giving up a rebound. So from 15 yards out, you better have your weight forward. You better be able to get your hands down to the ball. I don't care how hard the ball is shot. But from inside 10 yards, absolutely save the ball. I don't care if it's with your elbow, save the ball. You know, and there's a big difference, and I think young keepers have to realize that. They see, oh, you saved the ball with your feet, but they're not identifying the distance, the speed, the situation. They just say, oh, he kicked it. Yeah, but you just kicked the ball that got shot at you from 20 yards away. Yeah. Yeah, right? No, I 100% agree. 100%. I don't want to make it sound like. No. I thought it was great. And I think it's a perfect example of when to save the ball with your feet.
Yeah. I want to say this, Evan. By the way, I will say this though, and I know that you're your harshest critic because we're all our harshest critics. So I appreciate the fact that you're willing to go that direction.
Omar's harshest critic.
Well, yeah, everybody's Omar's harshest critic.
I just want to know what he's
eating a sandwich. I kind of want to know too.
No, just regular food. But I think one thing I liked about that though, and I think that's like the biggest thing that we always, or at least for me, what I try to tell the keepers, and I think what Evan did really well there is that he squared himself back up and he got his feet into a square position. I'm looking right now for a Peter Schmeichel video that I posted a few days ago, but he made a save centrally. He got back up and then he literally squared his feet up quickly. And then from there was shoulder width towards the ball. And then from there, at least now we can attack those lateral lines. And I think if you watch how like it was such a scattered play, it was so quick, but it was just that ability to get to your position. Probably wasn't the right angle just because you're on the recovery, but at the very least you got yourself square to the ball and you got your feet in order, and then from there now you can be athletic. I think that was that's a big piece about recovery.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Evan, I want to ask you this because, one of the biggest mistakes that I think that a lot of young goalkeepers do, and I think a lot of young goalkeeper coaches do this as well too, is they try to train kids to step a certain way. Like, oh, you're always supposed to step here, always supposed to step here. But again, like you're saying, it's situational. So in your opinion, like, where should your recovery step go? Should you use momentum? I noticed that you said you have a checklist of you want to scan and make sure that the ball's out of danger, or if the ball's in danger, it's going to determine how you recover.
Yeah. So some of the things I look at, like I said, is if it's a shot where I made a save and it's, deflected out and it's like a situation like we just watched. Yeah. Initially, I'm naturally more of an aggressive keeper where I like to go. So my initial step is always going to be forward. And then I'd rather deal with something closer than farther, if that makes sense. And then, when I'm taking that initial step, like in the clip that we just saw, for instance, I know I didn't do it there, but what I like to do is, especially if the ball's not on somebody's feet or not, an imminent threat, if it's that wide, I like to look across the goal to see if, like, okay, this guy's making a run in the box. Like, is he going to fizz it across? Can I get the cross? Or can I, kind of read the player on the outside? Is he going to cross it? And if he is, I'm taking a little shuffle to the left so that when he does, make the impact of the ball to cross it, I can get there and fling myself open and make myself as big as possible.
You brought up such a really good point right there, which I want a lot of young keepers to hear about this. And I know Saskia always talks about this in regards to understanding where the dangers are and understanding your scenarios. You need to know the scenarios that could happen based on the situation, based on this final action that just took place. And if you don't, if you're always just looking straight ahead at the play right here, and you don't realize that back post player right there, well, you're running out at this ball's slotted across, and now you got no chance.
But you need to, I tell my players, you need to identify that early, because I find that sometimes players get caught up my literal players, when you tell them to make sure you organize the back post and the back run and the weak side, then they're doing that when it's time to pay attention to the shot. So I got to keep her over here pointing, even though she's looking or he's looking and thinking. And I'm like, okay, you've already said it 4 times. Like, now it's their job. If that ball gets slotted and your defender's not weak side, I'll go deal with your defender. But there's a time and a place for check, that's it, make the statement, and now focus on the shot, because you're talking about like an imminent threat. You're talking about stuff that's in the box, stuff that's turning over quickly. So your decisions have to be fast, they have to be verbal, and then you have to do your job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that is actually something that's actually really important. And I know that, you speak about that, Saskia, all the time, is that make sure that you're doing that job prior, so that you're not trying to do all of this all at one time. If you have no inclination,
you're not trying to fix it
in the middle of the moment.
No.
I want to talk about this with you, Evan, is because, one of the biggest mistakes I think that happens, and you actually show a lot of great examples of this, is that a lot of people think that a recovery step always means a positive step. It's always a positive step forward. But again, it's kind of situational. So I want to bring up this clip right now of you
to show a situation. Recovery step was forward.
Well, but look at this. But so let's see.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're gonna pull this one up right here, and if you can kind of walk this through, this is this season for you, and it was a ball up on top.
Yep. Here,
boom, step, but now you've recognized the ball's been played out of the 18, so your recovery is drop, negative, to get a little bit more depth. But you also want to change the thought process of the attacker. If you take that, if in this time frame, if you recover like he did, so you take your recovery step back, you're shutting off that, is that through ball, instead of sending that through ball, are you going to chip me? Because I didn't do anything. I stayed in no man's land. But here you see me backing up. So now you're not going to chip me. So you're forcing that through ball, which at the same time you're like, come on, put that through ball in here because that's mine.
You know what I mean?
Love that face. Love that face right there.
Yeah, you're manipulating a situation. All right, yeah, you see me backing up. No, you're not going to chip me. Oh, but what are you going to do? You're going to throw that through ball in there? I'm on that because that's what I wanted you to do.
Yeah, I think it's important to, as much as I said, we're always constantly looking around and trying to assess, dangers and stuff like that. Is dealing with one thing at a time. So initially, when the ball goes to the forward that ends up passing it, I want to put myself in a spot where if he shoots, I can save it comfortably.
Right.
And then as soon as he decides to, bop it over the top, which, I mean, you could kind of tell it was coming.
Right.
I want to be in a position on the front foot where I can get out quick. To be honest, I think this specific play was a little risky because if he's a little more clever and he just thinks it.
Yeah.
A different conversation. But as you can see, I stepped and I stopped. I could have went flying, and I think that would have made it almost easier for him. So
but again, you're also forcing him to make that decision on the fly faster than he would have wanted to.
Exactly. Yeah. As much, especially for a keeper, as much as when you can make it on your terms, I think that puts the percentages in your favor, even if it's a little bit, even if you can make it somewhat predictable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like what you said there in regards to, when you're coming out, if he was a little bit more deft, but like Saskia says, if you're manipulating it, if you're forcing him, if you're disallowing him the time to be able to make those decisions,
to make that choice.
Yes, that now you're forcing him to make a decision quickly,
because
and
you've got
that's
defenders recovering, you've got the ball bouncing in. If you hold there, if you keep your depth, you're giving him that extra second to maybe really look up and say, oh, I got the whole goal to shoot at, right. Or oh, let me place it here. But because you put that kind of that pressure, it's the same thing as Michelle said when we had her on. It's the minute somebody forces me to make a quick decision and takes me out of the decision I wanted to make, that's when she would screw up in a sense. Right. Not saying Michelle Akers ever screwed up, but just saying she admitted that. She's like, now, you know what I mean? Now what am I gonna do? Yeah. And that's what that did.
I want to hear what God is.
I don't know. I mean, I guess his back screen is like a cloud or something.
No, I think I think the first time I ever was introduced to some form of the block save was with recovery movements like this. I went to Mexico when I was 15, and I remember we had in one of our progressions it was a low shot. And if you ever watch any Latin American stuff, they try to hold things, but they never do. They catch it and they throw it back before they even catch it. It's a weird thing. I don't know. They just they don't want to stick the ball real quick. They just move on to the next one. So we had a shot where it was a low ball, and then after we made the save, we had to pop right back up, and they had a guy probably at the angle 3-4 yards away, and all you'd have to do is make the save, throw it back to the server, and sprint out and just make yourself as big as possible. And then you call it the Jesus Cristo, literally just get on your knees and spread yourself. And I remember it was such a
Jesus cross.
No, they call it the Jesus Cristo. That's what they call it. The spread. You spread yourself.
Wait, is this when you came back from Mexico and then you started doing this for the LA Galaxy and
no.
He's trying to get you.
You know what? No, I think that's probably what it was, though. I think he found out that I went to Mexico, and then he was like, "Look, we're not having any of that." But no, it was such a culture shock to me because I was like, one, I've never been taught this before. Two, I've always been taught to just stay on my feet and either make a kick save or stay big or stay square and give myself the best chance. But then this was introduced, and it obviously, it made some sense to the sense of if you do make a save and you have to get back up, the only way you can do the block save is to get squared up again. So I started realizing, well, if I can get square and then make a save if I need to, or if I can get square and then approach the guy who takes a big touch or puts his head down and makes the block save, whatever. So it's just like you said, play what you see. But as coaches too, we have to introduce all these different, scenarios so that if our goalkeepers are in those positions, they can go through that checklist like Evan was saying, and go through those progressions of took a big touch, head is down. I've been taught this before. Well, if it's not that big of a touch, maybe I stay on my line. Big touch, maybe I come and smother. Big touch, but he got there before I got there. Maybe I come out quick and then I break into a block save. But all these different scenarios, and that's where it's in the college scene, you can't do it as much. But in when you get kids in the summer and you have them 3-4 times a week, you can really start implementing all those different scenarios within a 1v1 or within a play.
That this week.
Well,
No,
no,
I really was.
in season.
Oh,
It's like hard in season because like we have so many games back to back.
No, you're right.
The starters go into yeah. So in off season, yeah, there's a lot more time.
No, and I agree with you. And the best thing is to have, once you start getting goalkeepers that are recognizing, oh, should I have done the case, whatever the hell you want to call it? Should I have done the case save there? Should I have done this? And my like this is time for analysis, because I believe that we talk about like gray areas and stuff, but in my opinion, there are times that this is right and wrong. Like, no, you in your mind were going out to just make yourself big and do a block, when in reality, that was more your ball than their ball. And had you gone down, hands to the ball first, the ball would be in your hands right now. But instead, you come up, you slow yourself down, you're like, I'm going to do a case saver, I'm going to do a block. And I'm like, well, why don't you just go on that one? And then there are other times I'm like, where are you running to? Like, so I think that to teach every aspect and to try kind of put that in your toolbox is great, but you gotta see it and see it and see it.
Yeah.
Because every situation is different.
Well, think about it too. Think about it from like a coach's or from a kid's perspective, right? If you're spoon feeding them the exact same like stale technique, which is that block save over and over and over, and they're only seeing that same picture, who's at fault if that's all they do? You know what I mean? Who's at fault if they continue to default in a game? Is it them or is it us as coaches? It's most likely us, because we're only showing them one picture and that's all they know. So when I remember I took some math tests and I knew one equation from like week 1, and I was on like week 8 and I didn't study for a test. I'm like, you know what? This is the same setup. Let me plug that equation and see if I can do it. And yeah, then I was like, yeah, of course. My teacher one time asked me, hey, did you take this test in pen? Because the Scantron did not pick up many of your answers, or you just didn't know anything. And I was like, no, I took it in pencil and I did not know anything, and I will take my F and I will walk away. But in that scenario, it's like a very similar thing where if we only show them one thing, or only show them one way of recovery, or we talk about even in training sometimes, right? So asking like, it's that recovery ball of, if you're in a one-on-one session as a coach, do they make a save and that ball trickles away and they're done? They don't get up and work on the recovery movement. It's like, no, you have to finish the save. And again, it's just those little habits and triggers that we set up in training sessions that allow our goalkeepers to do it automatically. And once they do it automatically, then from there, they've either messed up in training and they know what to do in the game, or they've done it right in training and now they know what to do in the game.
Right. And I hate that when, you see goalkeepers in training and wherever they've come from, and they're like, they'll give up a rebound. They're like, oh man, I should have held on to the ball. I'm like, well, the ball's still right there. You know what I mean? Like, it's still right there. So add in your other goalkeepers, any rebounds live, finish it, blow them into the back of the net. And then it becomes second nature. And then that forces those decisions. Well, how far away with the rest of the rebound? What do I do on it and stuff? And that's like training within training.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to bring this up right now, and Evan, feel free to chime in anytime, because otherwise Saskia and Omar will continue talking.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I feel like it was like watching like First Take with Omar and Saskia. So it was like it was solid right there, but it was a little bit more educational than First Take. That would just be two people yelling at each other. It'd be like a lot like the debates. Or did I just do that? Okay, it's a good thing we're not live. Anyway, I want to bring this up right here because this is a perfect example of recovery on that second ball, and how your recovery step after the smother right here, Evan. So, boom, as you get down, first off, hands first, you got some contact with that ball. Look at your checklist. You see where that player is right there. You recognize he's still a danger. So you get right back up and you go pounce on that ball right there. Kind of walk us through kind of the thinking right here.
Yeah, so if I remember right, I think this was it was our attacking corner, and it got cleared, and it was kind of just just a classic counter. And I'm telling my center back, just force him one way. Either way, honestly, I don't have a preference. In this situation, this is he did exactly what I wanted him to do. And then once number 16 Derek Costas takes a touch, I'm set, and I see him take another touch, and the ball's not super close to his foot, so I can take another yard. And then as he takes another touch, I can take another yard. And then he goes to take the big touch because my center back closed the space. And as soon as he takes the big touch, I kind of see a little window where I can either get my hands to the ball, or like we both, and what ended up happening is I think he went to shoot it and my hands hit the ball at the same time. So like we kind of just both canceled each other out. And then, like we said, it popped out, and I looked at the player and I didn't know where the ball was at first. So I was like, okay, look at the guy. Where's he looking? Does he have the ball? All this stuff. And then like I turned around and it was right there. And then it was just like a mad race to the ball.
You identify it right there. Boom. Like you're okay.
Yeah.
There it is. And then and that's when you pounce right on it.
I was nervous for a split second. I was like, I didn't know if it went over. I didn't know anything. But yeah, and then just like we said, it's the same thing in training. And the only way you're gonna learn this is if you make it as live as possible. Like at least for us, like if you give up a rebound, it's getting buried. There's no, oh, sorry, I didn't catch it. There's no, oh, let me shoot the rebound at your hand so you can catch it. Like it's like if you give up a rebound in the game, they're not going to shoot it at your hand. So we try to make it as live as possible.
I think a great thing that you brought up that we don't talk about is when you move, right? So we don't talk about that so much. You're just like, oh, recovery step or something like that. The bottom line is when. When do you move, right? So it's absolutely 100% right. He took a touch when the ball isn't in his bubble and in no danger in a sense. In that it's that fast, I'm going to take a yard, right? He takes another touch. I'm going to take a yard. He takes a long touch. Now I know that I can take 2 yards and get my hands down, and now I can smother it. And it's, I find that in training a lot is that like a lot of young goalkeepers, they're in like shell shock. Like here comes the through ball or here comes a long dribble. And I'm going to wait until the ball is back on the player's foot. Now I'm going to move, right?
Yeah.
When do you move? You move when the ball is in between. You move when the through ball is going and nobody can touch it. You move when they take a long touch and they have to catch up to it because there's no danger there. And that's when you steal your yards. And I think that's something that we don't talk about that much here. And I think that was awesome that you explained it that way because I know that I'm constantly trying to explain that, and I watch even at the highest level, here comes that through ball or here comes, that pass. And you waited, that pass went 25 yards.
Yeah. And
you waited and you didn't move a yard, right? And now it's on their foot, and now you're going to make up for the fact that, oh, they have the ball, and now they're coming at me, so now I'm going to come at them. I'm like, what happened to traveling during that 25 yards? Figuring it out then, So I thought that was, I totally agree.
Omar's got something he wants to share right now, so I'm gonna let him share this. I guess we'll let him share this. Let's see. What
this is like exactly the drill that I was supposed to be working on. This is Peter Schmeichel. Hold on, let me just make it bigger.
Oh God, this is the quality of like Saskia's type videos. Or is there a Saskia clip coming up too? So
no,
mine is on 8mm. Damn.
That's pretty much what we're working on. Is like getting. Let me see if I can slow it down.
Michael and I are like the same age, so.
I pressed the wrong button.
What quality is this, dude?
This is not HD.
This is not HD. That is for sure.
We'll go there.
Okay.
So you can see as he makes a save, he gets up, at least gets square. But then, in today's game, would coaches be okay with that? I don't know. But again, it's Peter Schmeichel. He has an advantage of being, he wore like a quadruple XL jersey. So I think he has way big of a frame than I do. So once he's able to get back up here, at the very least, he gets square. But then this is when I was taught that block save for the first time. Just come and get as big as you possibly can when that shot is being hit from like 5-6 yards away. And like you said earlier, just like some people run away from the ball. Like I think right now, look, what
if he had stopped? So let's put it that
exactly. What if he like Evan said
what
earlier?
If he just
he stayed dead? Yeah. What if
he's in no man's land?
100%.
He's in no man's land.
But also on the other hand, what if this guy scores this rebound, or he chips it over his head, or he takes a touch down the line and slots it in because he just came out so heavy-footed, or he came out so quick.
I think that
there's always a what if.
There's always a what if, but I think the worst what if is no man's land. So had he just gotten up, again, triple XL jersey, it's Peter Schmeichel. Probably not that easy to chip him, but if this is what he committed to, granted, I think you can change your mind, but commit to it. Don't just get up and be like, oh, should I have backtracked or should I have gone forward? Now you're in the middle of nowhere.
That's the one thing, Evan. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you can see as soon as he deflects the initial shot, he knows what he's going to do. I think the worst thing you could do is make a decision late. I think
absolutely
whether he gets up and does what he does, or he gets up and even if he takes a step back to kind of give himself an angle, whatever it is, I think if you make the decision early, it's better than like you said, being in no man's land. Like that's
Yes,
the
no decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What should I have done?
I had the kid this weekend, and he asked me. I said, like we just said, I said, if you make a decision, you got to stick to it. And he was like, but coach, what if I'm always making the wrong decisions? I was
That's
like,
on you,
look,
Omar.
I don't know what to tell you, but just if your parents ask, you tell them I've been telling you what to do right. And, it's just,
And you keep doing it wrong.
you keep doing it.
Oh my gosh. Evan, I got a question for you.
Omar, what if I keep making the wrong decision?
I have a
I was
question
like,
for you
look.
because one of the thing about you is that you are definitely very committed. When you make a decision, you come out. Like, yeah, I've seen some of your plays and you're just like barreling through, but not crazy wild. Like you're still under control type of a thing. I think the thing is though is that you need to understand what your strengths are. For you, you're very quick being able to come off that first step and recover and gain ground. Maybe some guy who's 6'6", maybe it takes him a second to get up. Maybe he's better holding because he has that range. So don't you kind of have to understand your profile?
Yeah, for sure. And it's understanding what kind of goalkeeper you are, and then also the environment you're in. Because like for instance, when I was at Red Bull, it's a very unique like style of play. It's very aggressive. It's, very high lines. So if I don't make that initial decision and I'm not aggressive with it, I will be late 100% of the time. So it's understanding, the way your team plays. And also, like you said, if you're a bigger guy, you're going to be able to do things that I'm not going to be able to do. So you need to kind of round that out. And like I said before, make it on as much as you're on your terms as possible. If you're a ginormous, lanky dude, then just get yourself in a set position in a good angle, and you'll save everything more often than not. Me, I'm kind of in the middle of height. I'm 6'2", so there's definitely keepers bigger than me.
That's like a giant for Mike.
I look at Omar and I look up to Omar. So,
But for me, sometimes I need to kind of force it to be on my terms, and I need to get a little closer, and I need to be more aggressive. And while doing that, taking in the information around and adjusting as I go.
Yeah.
I think what we see, to answer your question as well, Mike, I think what we see sometimes with younger kids and stuff is they make that decision. Let's say they make the decision, they think it's going to be a 50-50 ball, and they come, right? So they're coming to smother, they're coming, there is a moment that you can realize in that you're not going to beat the person to the ball. Mm-hmm. And you do have time to maybe slow it down, gather yourself, and now stand them up or do what you need to do. But what I think we see a lot of mistakes is, and in a short rebound like that, that's not the same scenario. That's not what I'm talking about. That is, make the decision, stick with it. This is a 2-yard rebound. You just have to deal with it. But I think that there is a time that you can say, I'm coming, and then, oh God, I just totally, read this wrong. And you could slow yourself up and now make another decision. But I think a lot of fault that we see is kids, like young kids, keepers don't identify when they can actually make a change in that flow. And they just keep running. They just keep with their first, and then they just get like passed around and dribble around or whatever. And you're like, there was a good amount of yardage here that you could realize if you're paying attention that you're getting beat to the ball. Slow it down, stand them up, change your decision.
Like this example right here against Atlanta United with Evan, where basically, so you're coming out and you recognize that you can't gain any more ground, and you just decide to hold right here. Boom, you're like, all right, I'm going to hold. I get big.
Yeah, you have to realize that.
Great tracking, and now you've realized there's empty space right there. I can come back on that ball right there. And I can make a play on the ball right there and play it out of danger. Yeah.
So this specific play, it goes back to kind of looking around and taking in that information. So like here at the Rowdies, we play a 5-back system. So there's 3 center backs. So the defender and the player right on the PK spot, that's my left-sided center back. So as the ball's coming, we play with very high wingers. So as the ball's coming, I see the guy who ends up collecting the ball, and I see there's no one around him. and I see our whole team is on the side of the field where the ball just came from.
So you're the defender.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
have to.
He's got a free reign, and it was a little rainy that day, so I was pretty confident he was going to take a touch. And at that point, I think if he takes a touch and I kind of just set right there,
But you're already moving. That's my point.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like if I just stop right there or don't move and take that initial step, I think I give him so much of the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I like in my opinion, I just wanted to get out and be as big as possible. And also seeing the defender coming behind him.
Getting your back.
Yeah, putting him behind me and the defender, putting a little bit of pressure on him. Yep. I know he's not just going to be able to, tee it up and just, whip one top corner. But yeah, like, our center back went into the goal, and he knew I covered the left side in that kind of scenario, the middle left side, and anything that was cut back to the back right post, he was going to deal with.
No, I had that conversation the other day to one of my keepers, and I just said, she's like, well, should I punch them in so they can come? I'm like, you're the cover. Yeah. I'm like, in this scenario, how deep they are, where the ball is, you're the cover. You're not sliding somebody over because that means you're keeping everybody too deep. Guess what? Yeah. You're the last defender. Like, you're the one that's got to go out. Like, it was like a light bulb. I'm like,
And Omar, do you notice here, like, how you're able to still ground, Evan, because and Saskia, you always talk about this, like when the head goes down, that's when you still ground. And then that's when you were able to come across. And Omar, I know you're big on that fast approach and then that slow arrival. And I think this is a very good example of this right here. Steal ground, and then stop.
Yep. Explode and then slow it down. First 3 steps are the ground you want to cover, and then slow it down and figure, if you have to, or, go through it. Yeah.
Omar, you are on
I think Omar's talking to himself.
You're on mute, right?
What? That's awkward. Sorry, I've been on like 4 Zoom calls today, and that's not okay. Anyways,
I'm so glad this episode's not live. Like, it's almost like God was like speaking to us. It's like, you know what? Maybe not today. Maybe not today is the day to go live.
No, I think you can for me at least, I equate our movement into any shot or any like angle shot like that is very similar to our prep touch, right? Our prep touch, when we get a pass back, our prep touch sets us up for multiple outcomes and multiple decisions based off. We can look up and scan the field. We can, really improvise in that moment, depending on how good our prep touch is. Your movement to the angle, if it's way too fast, you only have one option. That's it. If you go quick and you slow yourself down, now you have, okay, can I get set? Can I continue the movement? Oh, can I come out and actually get into a block sit? So I feel like the slowing down aspect allows way more opportunity to make a variety of saves versus just you being stuck and going to the sprint mode. And I think that's what happened there with Evan. You came out super hot just to close down the angle. But once you realize, okay, I could probably slow down here just in case I got to make a foot save, I got to dig my foot out, or I got to drop my knee. I feel like that's the way to do it.
Yeah, one thing I want to bring up with you, Evan, and that I see a lot of times with youth keepers, and I'm sure both of you guys can attest to this too, is that a lot of times they make their recovery too direct at the ball rather than recognizing where the dangerous space is. Is that something that you've noticed as well too?
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to just taking in the information. Like in that specific play that we just watched, before he crossed it, I'm kind of looking across, and I that's why you can see, like, I'm already running because I know he's over there. You know what I mean? So it's taking in the information, and if he's going to be able to take a touch, then, making sure, because I also think one of the worst things is to not be balanced. If you're balanced, you give yourself so many options to do things. So yeah, just taking in the information and just seeing what's in front of you and dealing with that specific situation, I think is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and Michael, to add to what you said, like, I wish I had like a little diagram, but what we see a lot of kids do.
You can share your screen. You can do a little whiteboard on there and start doing some illustrating.
Dude, like, we know how long it took me to hook up my microphone. All right, so I think that what we see a lot of kids doing is they don't respect their angles. And so if you get that ball that travels from one part of the 18 to the other part, they take a direct line kind of towards the ball. So they're like in the goal, they're taking a direct line, leaving the whole entire angle of the goal open. And that has to be you have to understand the arc of your recovery, if that's what we're talking about. So there's a recovery involved in that you have to cut off the open angle and then come forward. You can't take a direct line to the ball. That leaves that whole side of the goal open. It has to be a bent run and then come forward. And we're not talking about something major. We're talking about like a couple steps, but you just, when I find that a lot of kids just, they follow that ball and then there's that big open. I'm like, just look at what you're leaving open.
Yeah. I think a lot of, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I think something that Evan just said that was extremely important. I think a lot of, I just got off a call today with Chris Sharp from the Rapids, and I was telling him about a specific play, and then he was telling me, Omar, I want you to rewind the whole play, and I want you to think about what the goalkeeper was thinking when his team was in possession, and then they, created a counterattacking opportunity. And I was like, you're right, but I'm a coach though, right? He's like, but you need to coach through the lens of what the player is seeing. So now that I'm rewatching this footage, and then Evan just said, well, I had an idea that because we play a high line, my defender may not have gotten back. And if that ball is going to go past everybody, I know my run is already going to be, curling to that far post. So now just hearing you verbalize that to me is like, damn, the reason you made this save is not just because, you made a quick reaction save, but because you already knew where the play was going to happen. You kind of already envisioned it. So your footwork leading into that was already, you had already diagrammed it out. You had already drawn that path towards the ball. And I think, again, understanding what you saw and what you felt and what caused you to have that motion into that the final action is huge. And I think, again, for me as a young coach, understanding that of the film review and saying, hey, Evan, tell me what you felt when this happened. And then gaining that perspective is so much more valuable than me telling a kid, this is what I saw.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. I want to say this right now is one of the problems that I see a lot of times with youth keepers, and I'm sure you guys can all attest for this, is that, Evan, we've talked about this, right? You were just talking about like if there's a ball in your training sessions, it's buried. That next ball, that second ball is buried because that's what's going to really happen in the game. I can't tell you how many times I've seen in games, in youth games as well, like actually actual games as well. Youth keeper makes the save, they go down, they make a nice parry, and then they sit there and admire the parry.
Yeah.
And literally, they admire the parry, and then once they decide to get up, then they get up. And then they start getting to the higher levels, and they start getting beat and beat and beat and beat. And then they're starting to wonder why, but they've never taken the time to actually develop those instincts to get up and recover and make that movement. Do you think a lot of that is just because they're so used to just being flat and not planting quickly and getting back up? Or do you think it's more of a mental thing?
I think it's more of an environment thing. I think, like, at least for me, when I was super young, like I was fortunate enough to train with the Red Bull first team when I was like 14, and these guys aren't, this is their job. They're not looking to be nice to the young kid. So if the young kid deflects something, they're going to bury it. And that, I think, just being in that environment, knowing that that's what's going to, if I can't catch it and I can't deflect it out or deflect it far where no one's going to be able to get a rebound, especially in close, then I need to know that I need to get up and get ready for the next one, because then it's going to get buried and I'm going to hear about it for 5 minutes after it. So I guess you can say it's more mentality. I think it's just always looking for the next one. And luckily, the higher level you go, you don't have to admire your save because it's on TV. You can rewind it. So just make the save, get up, and then make the other save. And then you can look at 2 saves on TV.
Dude, I love that. That's a great incentive. I'm just going to tell kids from now on, I'm like, look, you keep working on this, and one day you're just going to have these on TV, and you can show everybody. Wouldn't you rather do that than only get to show one save, from your parents' iPhone? Like that's where you want to end up, right? That's a good point.
Hey, you Omar, give up a rebound and you think the play's over, and it gets in the back of the net.
That's your fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
next thing, don't give up rebounds, catch the ball.
Yeah.
If you want to admire yourself.
Right.
There you go.
I think one of the things, and Omar, I don't know if you've ever done a breakdown about this. I think one of the biggest problems is when kids get up, it's that back step. They get up and then they take a back step and then they try to move forward, but they've already planted all their weight backwards. And by the time they've done that, the play's over, Omar, have you ever kind of broken that down in regards to how that shift, that weight has to be forward, whether it's the whatever that thing's called, the spin move, or whether it's just a direct step, however you want to do it, as long as it's that forward momentum.
No, I don't think I've done a breakdown of it, but I mean, I've done it where, we've done breakdowns in sessions, or, I have my iPad out there and I'll slow mo it, and I'll ask them like, hey, what happened here? And they'll say, yeah, no, I got up, and when I got up, I started moving backwards, and I fell back. I had no momentum to attack any proper lines, and that is also a big discussion too when it comes to that spin. If it goes back the other way, the spin is great, but going back the same way you came, unless your momentum is taking you, then you got to do that. But I mean, if you want to do that, go on a slip and slide, go have some fun doing that. But I don't know if I don't know if it's called for all the time. And I think too many people, in my opinion, where I grew up, train it for no reason at all. I remember one time my coach, when I was young, my goalkeeper coach literally came out with like a bucket of water that he filled up at the sink at the local park, and he was throwing it in different areas. And I'm like, hey, like, what are we doing? He's like, oh, no, we're going to be working on some spin moves today. The grass is really dry, so I want you guys to really just make sure you guys get wet here, and you guys can actually gain some traction. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, I've never done this before. And you know what happened? My first week at the Galaxy when I was 15, I showed up with a big bucket of water.
Stop, you're lying.
Did you really?
You hose down the field. I can only train if the field's wet. I actually have a training series that I do. The kids hate that I do that handles like all different scenarios with transferring your weight, so body weight's forward. We call them up downs. They usually throw up. I've had it happen once or twice. But sorry, moms and dads. But
I'm glad I'm retired, so I never have to be coached by Saskia, because I feel like it would have been like David Goggins meets goalkeepers. It
only happened once. But it trains all different scenarios that you end up in on after a save, and the importance of immediately transferring your body weight forward.
Yeah,
I'll share it with you.
No, I would love to see that. Evan, I saw your face. You were smiling a little bit when Omar was telling his spin stories. It sounds like you've got some spin move stories as well, yourself.
I was just going to say, the keeper that I was with for most of my academy career, he's a Colombian keeper. So it's very, sidewinders. And I only learned how to do it if I dive to my left. I don't know why. I can't do it if I dive to my right to turn this way. I can only dive to my left and turn this way. It's very weird. But yeah, I was thinking about that the whole time.
I just say, I'm actually the same way. I can only do the spin move if I dive to my left. I can't do it. I can't do it to my right. To my right.
Well, at this point, if I dive, it takes me about 5 minutes to get back up. So, so whatever move works. I'm usually like, hey, Mike, can you help me up here?
Here's another thing, Evan, and I want you to talk about this right now so that a lot of the young kids here at the pro level, why it's so important that they don't put their hands down when they take their recovery step, because it's one of my biggest pet peeves. I'm like, dude, why are you getting on all fours and putting your hands on the ground and then doing a push-up to get back up off the ground, and it's taking 5 seconds. Saskia's looking at me. He's like, I don't know what kids you're training. But
exactly what I was going to say, but I can't say that because I do.
But you know what I'm talking about. The hand plant, right?
Yeah.
And why don't you just say how that core strength is so important to get up quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that we brought this up, because even with the taking a step back, I had an issue with this like 2 years ago where my first step would always be backwards. But what the keeper coach at Red Bull, Preston Burpo, he really worked with me and the strength coaches, and it's all about, being balanced and core stability. And I'm okay necessarily if you dive and you like use your left arm to get up. Like, I'm not one of those where you need to like dive and then get up with no hands, like whatever gets you up quick. But for me, I just think the whole planting the hands thing isn't very efficient, because especially both, like if you put one, okay, I can live with that. But it's also, it's core strength, it's arm strength. It's just trying to get yourself up to be as balanced as quickly as possible. And that all goes down to strength and conditioning and just being able to, your keeper coach address it when preferably when you're young and not, when I was 22 when we were doing this. So it was a lot harder to break. But yeah, it's all kind of core strength and stability and just being able to put yourself in the best position to make that second save or whatever it is.
Yeah. I was doing V-sits yesterday in the gym. Well, gym by gym, I mean like, my room, but in the gym. And I was recognizing, I was like, oh my gosh, like how much stronger my core used to be when I was doing this consistently over and over again, and how important it is to do those types of activities. And Saskia, when you were talking about like those, what are they called? The up downs? Is that what you're calling them?
My up downs.
Yeah, your up downs. That's so vital. They need to be able to have that strength. And the more you do that, it becomes that neuromuscular response becomes there because it's muscle memory. And now when they get up, it's so easy for them to do it. It's effortless. It's not a chore anymore.
Right. And there's certain things that are repetition, like, and it sounds crazy for people, but it has to become second nature. Like you can't not train this. Like, whatever situation you end up, on your butt, you end up on your right side, you end up on your left side, you end up on your stomach, you end up whatever. How are you going to get up from this situation quickly, transfer your weight, always body weight forward, balls to your feet? How are you going to do that most efficiently as possible? And I could tell you, and we could do a couple drills, or I can just like hammer it into you. And like, I don't, it's not something I punish the kids with or anything like that. Guys, I'm a really nice person, right? But it's something that these are like repetitive things that I put in the same category as core work, as handling the ball. Like when you say go hit 100 volleys off the wall, and like, these are repetitive things that have to become second nature, so that it's like, oh, I'm in this situation, I'm up, I'm ready to go, my body weight's forward. Period.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a really good point. Omar, I want to ask you this because, from a coaching standpoint, when you're working with all these youth players right now, what are some of the coaching points that you need to look at when you're observing players getting beat consistently on recovery? Is it the body weight issue? As Evan was talking about, the mentality, what are the specific things that you would specifically tell coaches to look for?
I think most of the time it just needs to be like drilled in at a young age. I think that's, again, I'm like scarred since I was a kid. I had this coach one time. I have these weird coaches, but this coach literally was like, you know what, Omar, you're going to be a great
You just
goalkeeper.
need to have all your coaches on a show one day.
Oh my God, it would be horrible. That would be awful. But yeah, well, my coach literally was just like, Omar, you're going to be great, man, but you just got to get rid of this belly fat. And he like literally put like 2-finger grab my fat, and I was like, what the hell? Like, this is weird.
Oh,
then,
welcome to college as a woman.
Yeah. Oh, they do that?
And then it became illegal.
Oh.
Wait, Saskia, are you serious?
Absolutely. Come in after summer, come into preseason, and do you want to see what I looked like in college? And I was still getting pinched. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Nothing was good enough. Are you kidding me? Sorry, Charlie, but I'll never forget you pinching my sides, telling me I wasn't fit.
That was the old BMI like index. You know that they usually have little clampers.
Right.
But anyways, he told me, so back to the point, he told me that, he's like, as long as you have a strong core, you're going to be really, really a really good goalkeeper, because that's going to help you get up. And I think that ever since then, I didn't really work on my core like I should have, like in the gym, but I always like tried to figure out ways to enhance the way I got up using my core, not using my hand. So, but I would just say, as young kids, understand the importance of your core strength at a young age, and goalkeeper coaches try and figure out ways, if they haven't ironed it out by 13 or 14 years old, the proper way of getting up, just try and have them get those repetitions of that. They're either making a ball to a stationary save, making a save to a stationary ball, and then popping back up and then getting a shot at the angle. Do workouts where they get a shot, they make a save, they deflect it down the middle, they got to get back up to the middle. Made a save to the left, they got to get back up to the angle. Made a save, they have to get back up to the opposite side. So just getting those repetitions is all I would say, is making sure they get that stuff honed in on. And then from there, then you work on the core strength. And if you can do in tandem, I would do both. Yeah.
Evan, as we start wrapping up right now, I want to ask you, what activities did you do with Preston that really kind of, I don't want to say that they were game changers, but like that they adjusted the deficiencies that you were having? Saskia, stop putting that. I feel I'm depressed about my body shape right now.
You think that was me? How do you think I feel now?
I think it was mostly just him identifying it, because there was things that I didn't even realize. Like I didn't like for instance with the back step, I didn't realize that I would take a back step to go forward. It was almost like I was like loading to go forward, and it ended up giving me like being a half second late sometimes. So I think just addressing it, and then in game situations, now I'm thinking about it, and yeah, all right. Initially, like it was a bit of an adjustment period. Like I would do it sometimes, I wouldn't do it other times. I'd be thinking about it and I mess up sometimes. But I think just him just encouraging me as much as possible to try to just beat that out of me, and just taking reps and reps, and like you said, just reps and reps and reps. Nothing beats game realistic live reps. So putting me in situations where, yeah, it'll just be with the keepers, but it'll be like, take a volley, take a shot to hands, and then like the ball will be on the left side. You got to go take the angle and they pass it across, and then you get the shot. So it's like that initial movement is you're always moving forward, or maybe setting up like a pile of balls like 30 yards out and playing a through ball, and your first step has to be forward, so you're always leaning forward. Just little things like that.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you, because I think putting that movement in, like goalkeeper coaches or anybody has to get away from that stagnant stuff. So putting that movement in, even if it's a slight movement, watching how your keeper setting on their heels, is your keeper, are they timing that movement right, turning their head, seeing where the ball is going to end up, not following the path of the ball. So they're getting there with their eyes early, so they know the set. It's better to be setting out of position and still moving. And how are they setting? Is their core solid? Is their body weight forward? But if you just do stagnant stuff, you're never going to know that. Then they get in the game, they can follow the ball across, and the ball's in the back of the net, and they're on their butt, and you're asking why.
Yeah, I think you guys both brought up the number one thing is that these need to be realistic reps. These need to be in game situations. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. But you have to have that core strength developed too. Well, guys, first off, thanks for dealing with all the technical difficulties, because this has been a little bit crazy. At least it wasn't someone 8 hours ahead in time, like a couple weeks ago when we had Evan. A couple weeks ago, we had somebody in the UK who came on, and we were having trouble with the thing, and it was already like 11 o'clock or 11:30 at night for them.
Wow,
It felt so bad. And I'm like, all right, well, we're just gonna share this later on a watch party on Facebook. He's like, yeah, I'll be asleep for that, but I'll see it when I wake up in the morning. Before we get going, Evan, if anybody out there, they want to connect with you. By the way, shout out to who's it, Nelson Lucindo, who did those photos or whatever.
Fire pictures.
Oh my God, dude! You have to, Omar. You got to get this photographer, dude. This guy, Saskia. I know you guys have high level people at UCLA and Angel City and stuff, but this guy did some amazing work. These Evan shots that you sent me, and I was like, the funniest thing is the guy reaches out and he's like, hey, those pictures aren't bad on him. I'm like, dude, I'm so glad you reached out, because I wanted to give you credit for your pictures.
Right on.
So, honestly, Evan, sometimes we get people they're like, hey, if you can send us some pictures, and it's like, you guys have seen it before. It's like the grainiest thing. It's like they're way over in the corner over there, and I'm like, did you shoot this yourself today at practice? Like, what is this? Exactly. But this guy's legit. He does it all the time for all you guys?
Yeah. Every home game he's usually there. So yeah, he's a beast.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a couple people that are really talented. So
yeah,
pretty fortunate. We get the Dropbox thing the next morning, and they're all on Instagram. So.
well, we told him we'd give him a shout out. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, where's the best place to connect?
On Instagram, my Instagram's at Evan Louro 1, and Twitter at Evan Louro 123. I made it really well. It was like 2012 when I made it, and I was just everyone else had it, and then it was the only thing that would let me make it. So
that's hilarious. I love how people have like their old accounts from like back in the day, still from like what they made when they were like 12 and stuff like that, and they're like
AOL.
Okay.
I don't have mine anymore.
I have a rocket. I don't even know what that is.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Hey, Omar, what was your AIM name?
Oh man, not good. It was not funny. I can't even say it. It was like it was horrible. It was not good.
It was like cancellation type situation nowadays.
No, it was just like a Spanish word that I used once, and it just was not. It's like it hasn't aged well. Put it that way.
Oh God. Okay, we'll talk about it off. fair.
Yeah, we know where we're going with that one right there.
No, it's like, you know how they yell it in games.
No, oh no,
Like,
no,
yeah, okay.
we're aware of the word you're talking about. We got it.
Anyways.
All right. Well, if you guys want to know any more slurs that have been canceled, where's the best? You can reach out to Omar Zini at ProGK Academy _ on all social media, at Saskia _Weber on all social medias. Shout out to Angel City, by the way. Today's National Podcast Day, and they shouted us out today. That was very, very awesome of them. Appreciate, the kind words regarding the work that we're doing out there. Contact at Inside the 18. That's the number 18media.com with a guest suggestion or topic suggestion, or at Goalkeeper Podcast. All right, guys, that's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out later.